What's the ideal routine for benzo recovery? So, what I'm going to outline is what I did pretty much day for day when I was going through about 2 years of tapering off Valium, coming down from 40 milligrams. So, here's what my morning looked like. So, obviously, you wake up. Probably you've gotten 3 hours of sleep. Likely you had nightmares, right? So, that's how our day begins, let's be honest. Nonetheless, you get up. First thing I like to do is drink a glass of water. Just a tall glass of water. It has a lot of health benefits, especially first thing in the morning. It sort of gets the system going. It's just a really good way to start. Sometimes I would put lemon in it. If not, just a tall glass of water. Make that the first thing you do, after getting up, maybe going to the bathroom or whatever. Have a glass of water. The next thing I would do is, since I couldn't have my coffee or anything like that, I would go sit outside in nature somewhere. And typically at that time, it was around the side of my house. I had a nice little kind of zen garden-y spot that I would sit in. And I'm in Florida, so sometimes, depending on how late I got up, it can get really hot. So I would find like a nice shaded spot. And I'd maybe spend 15, 20, 30 minutes to an hour in the morning, depending on how I felt, how nice the day was. But no less than 15 minutes. Okay, and if the weather was nice, I would just try to get some sunlight, right? So if it wasn't too hot, and by the way, I recommend this if you're going to go outside just for 15 minutes and it's hot, you do need the sunlight. So if you can bear with it, that would be most ideal. So it's kind of a double purpose, getting up in the morning, going out in nature, getting outside, getting out of your house, getting some fresh air, being in the healing environment of nature, but also the sunlight, getting that vitamin D and helping with that serotonin production. And it's just going to be healthy any way you go about it. So I would sit there for maybe 15, 20 minutes, like I said. Usually, really, for me, it really became about an hour every morning. And this was the time I would try to meditate a little bit in a way, maybe not, like Zen meditation, but I would just try to get out of the rumination for a little bit, focus on nature, look around, just sort of focus on things that were going on, the beauty out there, if I could look at it and maybe have a couple moments, fleeting moments where I could actually feel that it feels nice out here. It's pretty out here. Because benzo kind of robs us from that. I mean, you could be having, anything you do, any movie you watch, anywhere you go, any food you eat, everything just is blah and dark and gray. But I always talk about trying to punch through, really, really, even though most likely you're not going to feel it, just reach for it. Just go out there and try. Just, as I say, fake it till you make it, So I would spend about an hour out there every day, 30 minutes to an hour. And I would kind of plan my day. I would say, okay, what's going on today? Well, okay, I'm in Benzo, so it's not going to be a lot. It's not like I'm going to a museum or a nice restaurant or something like that. But still, nonetheless, I have a day. Okay, what am I doing today? Okay, I got a taper, take my dose this morning. Okay, now what? Now I'm hungry. Now I go inside and I have a banana. Usually it'd be a banana, or I would drink a fruit juice, something like Bolt House, one of those Naked, I think the company Naked makes them. They're just like the Mean Green. Have you seen these? The Mean Green, it's spinach and kelp and all this. It's sort of like this condensed, super nutrient-rich drink that, you can get all those nutrients without having to sit down and eat a big salad and all this, which is really nice when you're going through this, because usually your stomach is complete trash. And I found myself drinking my food a lot in the morning, especially when my stomach was especially rough that day. So I would have, a banana was pretty light. I would maybe some orange juice or some kind of fruit juice. No coffee, because that caffeine will rev you up and make your life hell that day. Okay, and from there, I would do a little bit of light stretching. This is typically on my best day, on a day that I was able to do all these things. Obviously, we're human. Some days you skip things. Some days you just can't do it. But on the perfect day, I would do some stretching. And I don't mean doing the splits or anything crazy. I would just stretch a little bit, because I would be sitting around so much in bed or on the couch, and you just, your body gets stiff. Valium, I think, like I used it initially, believe it or not, for a muscle relaxer. So, of course, whatever you use a drug for, as you're coming off of it, its side effects are the complete opposite. So if you took opiates for pain, guess what? Now you're going to have a hell of a lot of pain as you're coming off. If Valium or Benzo gave you this nice relaxing feeling, well, now you're going to be super tense, muscle cramps, and completely anxious. So I would do a little bit of stretching, just some light stuff to kind of get my body not feeling so decrepit. And from there, I would do a little cardio. I had a recumbent bike and I had a treadmill. I picked up the treadmill for a couple $100. Used treadmill. You can pick up a recumbent bike, maybe used for $50, new for $100, I think, on Amazon or something. And the recumbent bikes are the ones you kind of sit in and you pedal. And I'd put my little iPad monitor up there, and I would try to watch a show. I would try to watch something, distract me. And before I know it, 20, 30 minutes goes by. Okay, I'm done. I checked it off my list. I accomplished that. I did the stretching. I did the cardio. And this was all before noon. Now, from there, before lunch, I would do something to distract me, because that's the name of the game. All day, every day, you're looking for distractions, right? So from there, believe it or not, I did gardening. I did a lot of gardening. I just wanted to be out in nature. I knew nature was good and had this sort of healing effect on me. This is why I don't come outside and do these videos, because as soon as I come out, there's a neighbor now trying to start a chainsaw or something. Anyway, so I would do gardening. Yeah, I would, get on my hands and knees and dig in the dirt and plant stuff and, light stuff, not trying to break a sweat or anything crazy like that. And from there, I might read, I might go watch a comedy film, I might do something of that nature. But definitely distractions. Anything but sitting on that internet on my phone or my computer and, getting in the forums and looking up my heart problems that I may or may not have, but most likely, obviously, did not have. I had myself convinced that I had, 14 different heart problems. So I would just get away from all that. I'm going to go to gardening. Maybe I'm going to play some video games, if you like that. I would read a little bit. I would watch some comedies or something inspirational. I think I watched Karate Kid and stuff like that, like a million times. And I would almost cry every time. It was so emotional, just seeing someone rise up from that space, I found that super therapeutic. So there it is. Now I'm approaching lunch. I've done all this. I've done exercise. I've got out of the house. I've done some stretching. I had a glass of water or a banana. And so now here's lunch. Lunch was typically something very light, like a turkey wrap, a salad, or if my stomach was really bad that day, I might just have a fruit drink. Again, going back to those Naked Mean Green, I think it's called. Those were really good ones. Low sugars, and like I said, just tons of nutrients, things that you need because you don't eat right when you're going through this. And I just feel like our bodies need more nutrients. Like it's in this sort of desperate mode, using all the reserves to try to get us through all this horrendous side effects of withdrawal. So there you go. That's lunch. From there, this is where the day got a little harder. Now I would do the exercise exposure. And I kind of put those together because for me, a lot of the exercise and exposure went hand to hand. Like I would walk to the mailbox a few times when I was really bad. That's how I started, walking to the mailbox and back. And then I would walk to the stops. And I would walk around the block. I just did a ton of walking. I just walked. And it was good because as further I got away from the house, the more terrifying it became, So it was like I was doing both exposure and exercise. And then from there, I might go to Walmart or Lowe's or, one of these places that have the garden section. I would walk around. I would look at things. I would try to plan like what I might do for my garden, where I would put a nice patio furniture set over here or plant these here. You just do a lot of, and it's not important if you ever do those things, but it's important that you plan for them, right? You're just sort of, again, getting out of your own way and turning and flipping the dial so you're not in your head freaking out the whole time. And I would walk around the lawn and garden section for about 20 minutes, I would say. Whatever the exposure was, I would do for about 20, 30 minutes. And typically what it was that I would arouse this sort of panic, this sort of fear on a low grade level. And then I would stand and confront that. I have videos on this, by the way. So I'm kind of just brushing over this very important part of this. And essentially I'm showing my brain that there's no tigers here. It's a garden section. It's fine. I'm just looking at roses. There's no need to run out of here freaking out. And wherever that panic got too high, when I was right at the point of wanting to run away, I would just stand there and take a few deep breaths. And I would just, start doing all the self-talk stuff. Now, if you go to therapy, or if you're probably familiar with this, and I would say, look, there's no tigers, there's no need to run. You're okay, everything's fine. You're talking to your brain in a way. You're talking to this sort of GABA faulty alarm in your brain. You're not talking to yourself. You're talking almost as if this thing is this external thing from you that's just a little bit faulty, and you're lulling it down like you would a child who's afraid to go to sleep or something. And I would just, I would do that till I felt, okay, I think I'm back down from maybe a 10 or a 9 or an 8 where I was to back to a 6, because you never go below a 6, I don't think, typically. And then from there, I would say, okay, work done. I did my exposure. That's all it is, guys. 20 minutes. You bring that, you trigger a kind of a heightened state of anxiety. You show your brain that it's okay, and you sit there strong until it sort of, all that stuff sort of diminishes. And then from there, you're okay to leave. Because at this point, you're deciding to leave. You're not being run away, which is a huge difference. Now let's turn the script again. Let's not get lost in that exposure stuff. And this is really important because this is a point where, you've heightened all that anxiety. You've come damn near to a panic attack. Now let's flip the script again. Let's get relaxed. Let's get something. Let's watch a comedy. Let's do something relaxing and light. And so from there, I would come back home, and typically I'd watch a comedy, like I said, or something inspirational like The Karate Kid or something. And around that time, I'd just kind of keep distracting myself to the point of dinner. And then at dinner, I would have something like, some fish or a salad, or again, if my stomach was completely trash, it might be one of those fruit drinks again. And then from there, it was distraction again until it was time for bed. Well, what I would say is until it was time for the sleep routine, the bedtime routine, the night routine. That would be the best way to put it, the night routine. So again, I would distract. Now comes the point, okay, let's say I'm going to bed at 10 or 11, which that never happened. It was more like 3 or 4. But let's say it was that time. 2-3 hours before, it was, okay, let's put the phone down. Let's get off the internet. And then right before bed, I would always love to do either a hot bath, or I was lucky enough to have a hot tub. And I would go sit out there and I would do some, 30 minutes of just trying to relax. And I stress trying to relax because, again, a lot of faking it till you make it. But I did find it therapeutic over time. I would just, lay in a bathtub or lay in a hot tub, and just try to get out of my head and try to feel my body, try to feel the warm water. All those things, it was, again, the name of the game is distraction. And I did find that over time, those relaxation techniques certainly grew. At first there was no relaxation. You're sitting in a hot tub and who cares? You feel crappy. But then I would have 15 seconds it would just feel good for 15 seconds, and then boom, I was back in my mind and my body again, and it was hell. But then that grew. Then it was a minute and a few minutes and 5. And before I knew it, the hot tub or the shower or something became my only refuge, from all the symptoms throughout the day. It was like I looked forward to getting in the hot tub. And on my worst days, I would maybe get in the hot tub 3 or 4 times a day, turn the temperature down. I just like the hot jets massaging me. I felt like when I was going through this, I wanted nothing more. If I had the money, I would have a massage every day. I would just hire someone to pamper me, just take me out of my body, please. Just massage my back or something for about 5 hours a day, would you? But so I would do this relaxation thing before bed. I would get in the hot tub or the shower or bathtub. I took a lot of baths. And I would just try to get into that mode, turn the phone off. And then, you brush your teeth, you do everything else before bed. And then I would try to go to bed. As you guys know, that probably is not going to work. Oftentimes it didn't work, But like I said, look, sometimes all we can do are a series of all these little small things, which may only remove 5 or 10% of our suffering. But I found, and I'm sure you might agree, when you're suffering that much and you're going through this hell, 5 or 10% is enough. It's very welcome, to put it that way. I'm thinking, I can do this with 5 or 10%. And that was my routine. And I would wash, rinse, repeat this every day. Get up again, drink your water, go out in nature, have a banana or a fruit drink, do some stretching, do some light cardio. Find a way to distract you, do some gardening, play some video games, read a book, watch an inspirational film, call a friend. I had a couple friends that I was very blessed to have in my life, and I really tried to utilize that. And I know I wasn't very kind all the time, and I wasn't very pleasant to be around a lot of times. But you tell them that. You say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm going through this thing. Please understand. Thank you so much for your time. I know I'm going to be a kind of a jerk or an ass sometimes. Bear with me, would you? I'm going through this thing." And they typically love you. They'll do that. And again, to reiterate, lunch, turkey wrap, salad, fruit drink. Do some of your exercise / exposure. I mean, every day you should be doing exercise and exposure pretty much every day. And before you guys go and start to dislike the video and say, "I can't, you never went to benzo withdrawal," and I'm not saying run a mile or anything. If exercise and exposure for that day was walking to the mailbox and back, you can do that. You can do that. And if you can't, then okay, fine. Do it the next day. Do it when you can, is what I'm saying. Do what you can when you can, is certainly the message. And again, relaxation before bed. Turn off your phones, because that stuff keeps you up. The blue screens stimulate daylight, and I'm sure you're aware. So turn it off. Get off those groups, and get into your night routine, and Godspeed.